Check, 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 check. How about that? Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Little audio issue. Should be good to go now. All right. Apologize for that. Just had to make one setting here. When I reboot the system, sometimes it wants to drop the audio off, so I do apologize for that. Please just let me know that you can still hear me. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. We'll basically pretend that we're starting right now. Rusty McCranie with you here, Central Florida Weather Live. Good to see you on this Saturday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to come on and talk about these storms that are developing across Central Florida right now. Some of them getting on the rowdier side on this Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to everyone as well tomorrow. And again, these storms are going to become a little bit more prolific in this late afternoon. Right now, we do have a few nasty storms we'll talk about. Nothing that is severe, but we do have a couple of special weather statements. And I got to tell you, the lightning is getting pretty intense on some of these storms as well. So right now here on our radar system, you can see a storm that has developed in the east central sides of Lake County, the far western sides of Orange County. This is going to be a Coe, Winter Garden, and Oakland areas. This storm is basically not moving very much right now. What we have into play is we have our east coast sea breeze, and then we have the outflows from the old boundaries from storms that have developed in the last couple of afternoons. So those are helping to fire off these storms for today. They could pulse up and be a little bit more intense here the next hour or two. Again, obviously, more than likely driving some of you guys a little bit back inside earlier than you wanted to be on this Saturday. So taking a look at what's happening in Metro Orlando right now, these storms are just building up as we speak. You can see some of the storms right now over places like Millennium and Oak Ridge and Sky Lake and Pine Castle and Edgewood and Belle Isle. And again, these storms are kind of just drifting right now more than anything. They're kind of just beginning to develop at the hour right now. Weather Service is trying to track this one a little bit to the north and to the west. That's again through places like Ocoee and Winter Garden in Oakland. And it's a pretty good light show out there as well. So the lightning is becoming a bit more intense as we roll into the remainder of these late afternoon hours on this Saturday. But pretty intense rainfall as well. Again, right now, this is not a severe thunderstorm warning, but we will see some potential winds of up to 40 miles an hour and some half-inch size hail. So small hail, pretty nasty storm. Certainly want to be indoors. We'll keep an eye on it as well on how close this gets to the attractions. Obviously, this being a holiday weekend, the attractions are going to be busy. Same thing for the I-Drive corridor here in the southwest sides of Orange County. Additional storms are firing up in our northwest areas as well. We do have another couple of special weather statements that have just been hoisted for portions of mainly the southern sides of Marion County. This is going to be for Bellevue and on over towards the Ocala area. You can see a pretty intense cell has developed here just west of I-75, south and west of Ocala there, basically right along State Road 200. That's the state road that drives south and west back into Citrus County. But the bottom line is a pretty nasty cell, some very heavy rain. Notice that the one that was just issued, so basically it's going to take over the one that was issued about 25 minutes ago. That one is more intense. It's now for winds of 55 miles an hour and some half-inch sized hail as well. And again, where you see the fuchsias and the pulsating blues here on our radar system, that's very intense reflectivity, also indicative of the possibility of some smaller sized hail. But storms are just becoming more numerous in nature at the hour. Good storm over places like Pearson and De Leon Springs at the hour. And again, no lightning out of that as of yet, but they're going to be picking up in intensity here. And lightning is going to be a pretty big threat here. There's a bit of instability in the atmosphere right now. I think these could become marginally severe, but these are storms you're not going to want to play with. Now, as the sea breeze marches east, it's left behind more just rain in places like Titusville right now, through portions of the northern and the central sides of Brevard County, then back into, again, far eastern sides of Orange, northeast sides of Osceola County. So the Wedgefield area, a little bit of rain close to that area right now, the split of the 520 and the 528. Again, some decent showers, but you can see that the Weather Service has just reissued the special weather statement, and it just includes a bigger, larger area now because storms are developing south and east. of where that first polygon was, and I already mentioned that towards the Oak Ridge area, and then storms are also developing deeper into portions of Lake County. Now our friends in Yahala and Astatula will be under this special weather statement. And again, not a lot of movement with these storms right now. I'll put that into motion for you just so you guys can see over the last half hour what this has done, but it's mainly been more about these storms just developing right now. There hasn't been much movement, but I got to tell you, the lightning is going to be a story here. They're getting more intense at the hour. If anything, there's a bit of a drift to the north and to the west, but as you guys know, as these storms congregate together, they'll produce more outflows, and then additional storms will fire up, and there are very weak winds aloft. And we see this a lot this time of the year. With the weak winds aloft, there's nothing that's going to push these storms in a hurry in any one direction. It is a bit different than the last couple of times I've been on where we had some good forward speed to these storms. Now what you're looking at is where these storms get going. They're going to be staying in the same spots, and there could be the opportunity for some isolated flash flooding, about 1 to 3 inches in some of the areas here where the rain is not moving very much. And that right now would be portions of Lake County and the western and the southern sides of Orange County. Again, right now we do have a new special weather statement. It's still going to be for winds of 40 miles an hour and some half-inch sized hail as well. So get you out to the broad perspective here. Again, if you're just tuning in, and thank you for joining me here live, Central Florida Weather Live. Again, this is a live-only channel. I'll only jump on when there's storms to talk about. I appreciate you while you're watching this. If you can do me a big favor, hit the like button. And again, if you want to ask me a question in the comments section below, let me know. Now, I do have something very sad to report. If you guys have been joining me, I purchased a tablet, which should be on this stand right here. Unfortunately, a couple of days ago, I tripped over a wire and I knocked the tablet down, and it hit a box on the ground, and I broke the tablet. I absolutely cracked the screen. Might have to start a GoFundMe for a new tablet because they're not cheap. So I've got my phone, and hopefully we'll get a new tablet shortly. But unfortunately, normally I could sit here and look at everything and read your chat. I do have my phone out though, so if nothing else, drop a couple of hearts in for the lost tablet. I had that thing for all of a couple of weeks, and like it was the only hard object that it could hit if it fell. And the screen went right on that corner and absolutely smashed it. Didn't even realize it, by the way, until 2 days ago. Okay, Sarah. Here we go. All right, first of all, I want you guys to notice that we have our live lightning counter here, Central Florida Weather Live. So this is an idea of the lightning strikes within this area over the last 15 minutes. That number has only gone up here as I prep to come on the air and since we've been on. And again, the storms are pretty clustered at this point in time, but if you live in this polygon, which is going to be portions of Orange and Lake County, these are rowdy storms, okay? You first of all want to be indoors. If you know anyone who maybe has been out for the Father's Day weekend just to get out and enjoy things, give them a holler. Let them know that these storms are rocking and rolling. Obviously, the skies are pretty gloomy out there right now, and hopefully they're paying attention to things. But again, you know, we're taking some lightning strikes here close to the studio, and that's why I just popped off and popped back on, because they're pretty nasty right now. So again, the lightning is going to be intense. Places like Oak Ridge, on over towards Pine Castle, Sky Lake, Belle Isle, Edgewood, Millennia, I-4 up towards Delaney Park at this point in time. So again, these cells are just kind of expanding. There's no real movement. They're kind of drifting north and west, but looks like we're going to get a little cell merger over Metro West in Orla Vista, in the Windermere area. It's very, very nasty right now in places like Beulah, in Winter Garden, in the Hamblin area, down towards Oakland and Ocoee, on the southeast sides here of Lake Apopka. And then again, that cell is sort of drifting to the north, so it could creep up the 429 a bit, trying to head towards Apopka. You can see that string is pretty darn nasty right now for Claremont. So the turnpike here, the Turnpike 27 interchange of Lake County, it's going to be pretty rough. Let's check out this cell here. And again, my radar picks up the algorithm of the radar from Melbourne and gives us this data we can look at live. So the storm direction is northwest at 337 degrees. If you know the compass, that's northwest. Speed movement is 13 miles an hour. Hail probability is 80% and some potential for some half-inch size hail. Not expecting this to be large hail for today. That's not the setup. But a lot of lightning, some very heavy rainfall, and very slow movement of these storms could produce some isolated flash flooding in these areas. So I'm going to be monitoring that situation for you live as well. Just want to make sure that I actually have the flash flood watches and warnings on. I do. That is good news. And again, this extends up towards Yahala and Asatula. But these storms are going to become more prominent, and even really just in the last, let's say, 10 minutes, we've really seen these storms develop through Sumter County across I-75 as well. Again, the heftiest storm right now is up in Marion County. You can see those fuchsias. That, again, is indicative of some extremely heavy rainfall or even some smaller sized hail. Again, the algorithm is picking up on a 100% chance for hail, maybe even up to 3/4 inch in size. So that's going to be a pretty nasty storm. And the Weather Service has this as a 55-mile-an-hour storm with winds, 55-mile-an-hour winds with about some half-inch sized hail there as well. So let me switch over here to the base and see here if I can pull back up again. I might have to do this real quick, guys. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to go out wide, come back in, and I'm hoping again that these times pop back on here. There we go. It's just a little glitch in the system where when I switch over to a different product, the expiration time drops, and I just basically have to reset the radar for it to come back on. So if you see me zoom out and then zoom back in, all I'm doing is getting back on the expiration time of these special weather statements. But the bottom line is, again, the lightning count continues to go up, and these storms are becoming a little bit more widespread right now. Some of this might try and sneak towards downtown Orlando. And again, with this being a holiday weekend, I know a lot of folks are out and about. So if you know anyone who is in the downtown area right now, some of this is trying to build up through Delaney Park and a little bit further off towards the south, Edgewood and Pine Castle. OIA could potentially be impacted by this. You can see there's MCO right there. Right now the storms are a little bit farther to the north and to the west. And again, if you live in this area, let me know what you're seeing in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. How you doing there, Ramona? Ramona says SeaWorld, and yes, poor tablet. Yes, poor Rusty, meaning I'm now even poorer than what I currently am because I have to get a new one. But I appreciate it, Ramona. So for SeaWorld area, right now, again here, let's find the beach line. There we go. So for the I-Drive corridor in general, the storms are mainly just to the north right now. So we can include all of the attractions area with this. But again, if I am at the attractions, I'm really paying attention to the storms to the north. Now, again, the general movement is to try and drift these north and west. They're really hardly moving right now. More than anything, they're expanding. But I've been watching the Lake Buena Vista area and the I-Drive corridor, and at least at this point in time, down towards the beach line again, not as prominent. Again, right near the beach line, we can start to see some heavier rain there. There's the beach line right there. And then, of course, it drifts back over towards MCO, where things are relatively quiet. But there's a little bit of rain down there towards the Belle Isle area. So we'll be monitoring that. So in this scenario, it's really hard to say. I would expect them, first of all, to just kind of blossom, if you will. Okay, they're going to get larger, but a general movement would be a little bit of a drift to the north and to the west. And we can see that that extension has now really come together. And here's what's also happening. These storms are beginning to merge. Again, the East Coast sea breeze is marching inland, so that's going to fire up storms, but you get the old outflow boundaries as well. So another pretty intense cell has developed near the Leesburg area. Again, that's going to be some very heavy rain and more than likely a little bit of some smaller hail there near the Leesburg area and 441. And that's going to start to merge with this other special weather statement that's just been issued for the Wildwood area. And again, that will now go for the next 25 minutes, so a little bit after 5 o'clock here. And that's going to be for 50-mile-an-hour winds and some quarter-sized hail. So back out to the broad perspective. And again, the yellow polygons that you see are our special weather statements. Right now, we have no severe thunderstorm warnings that are in play. We could see additional storms fire up across I-95. They'll more than likely be a little bit weaker in nature as the sea breeze has marched inland, but that opportunity will be there for Flagler and Volusia and Brevard counties. Now, inland Flagler towards Citadel, little cell is popping up right now just east of Deltona. They're along the 415 closer to Osteen, but relatively speaking right now, that's just a shower that's trying to get going. Not a lot of lightning with that. A little bit more intense storm right over Pearson. You can see a few lightning strikes with that, but right over the city in the 17 area there, just to the north of 40, we have a nice little cell there. few additional storms are going to trying to roll through portions of Alachua County. We have a couple of rougher storms over towards Levy County as well. Right now, the actual west coast is drier. Places like Crystal River, all the way down towards Palm Harbor and the Clearwater areas. So it really is about what's going on in the heart of the interior sections of Central Florida right now. So a lot of folks in the Orlando area going to be impacted by this. And again, these storms are fairly intense, and they're really getting more intense with the lightning count really going up right now in portions of Lake County. Look at all the lightning in just the last 15 minutes. And again, I've cranked down the filter a bit, so it's not showing every lightning strike. I can filter the lightning strikes by the intensity of the lightning strike itself. And so I've dropped it down a little bit here. And I've mentioned it in previous live streams that if I showed you every lightning strike, it would be actually hard to read the radar. But you get the idea that these are electrified storms, especially Astatula back down towards Mineola, Montverde areas. And then you follow it across the county line. Our friends in Oakland, Winter Garden, Ocoee, Windermere raining very heavily as well. That's the reflectivity product. Let's take a look at the velocity product here. There's going to be some embedded stronger winds. Again, not extremely concerned about any rotation, but you can see these brighter winds over, the brighter greens over Windermere right now. And there's some decent wind. Again, 25, 30 mile an hour wind there. So, as these storms pick up, there's going to be a bit of wind in there, but it's really about the heavy rain and the lightning for the most part. And again, because these storms aren't moving very much, we're going to have the opportunity for some 1 to 3 inch rainfall totals as well. So let's switch over to, let's look at the estimated hail size real quick as well. So we'll see, and again, right there where we had those brighter greens, we actually have the radar picking up the opportunity for a bit of hail here as well. So this is going to be near the Windermere area, and again, east of the 429, kind of close to the Hamlin area as well, if you know where that is. Newer area there, east of the 429. And again, could be some decent sized hail for portions of Windermere and the eastern sides of the Hamlin area as well, so I'll be monitoring that. And again, the storm that was picking up over Leesburg is another area where we could have some hail falling right now as well. So if you're in these areas, be cautious of those storms. They're producing some hail right now, some very heavy rain. We have a little bit of potential for some hail near the Wildwood and, of course, the Villages area here as well, right along 301 and just off towards the east. Just to the north of 44. Looks like that's gone away. That's good news. And again, when we see the smaller hail in this product, it doesn't necessarily mean that we actually have some hail. It could be just some very heavy rainfall, but always want to point out where the radar is picking up on the opportunity for some hail, and that's going to be right along State Road 200. And I drove State Road 200 not that long ago, and it has really picked up as far as how busy it is. There's now a lot more communities and a lot of businesses there. So even though it kind of just looks like a meandering county road south and west of Ocala, there's a lot there right now. And the potential for some half-inch size hail there, and then some half-inch size hail possible on 40 west from the Ocala area. Let's see if there's any other spots that have any potential hail size. Got another one. Now that was the Windermere area. So those look to be the spots here. Again, Deltona, maybe some smaller hail there on the southeast side of that area. Okay, back over to the broad perspective here. Let's bring the lightning data back on as well. Oh boy, all right, hang on. Reset the lightning data as well. Oh boy, did it not pick back up? Me and this system sometimes. All right, I'll get the lightning data come back on momentarily, but let's get back into these storms right now because I want to talk about this special weather statement, and it goes for the next 40 minutes. And the biggest thing is, again, I've been on now for a while, and you can see that when I put this into motion here, that these storms haven't really moved. This is a loop over the last half hour, and you can see that we're really just producing very heavy rain in the spots that are seeing that heavier rain. So let's talk about those areas. It's going to be Ocoee, it's going to be Winter Garden, basically all of Winter Garden towards Beulah, in Oakland and Montverde and Mineola, portions of Claremont, especially the northeast sides of Claremont. And again, we're basically following 19 up towards places like Astatula, Yahala, and then it's merged with a cell up there towards Sunnyside and the Leesburg area. Could be a little bit of hail just northeast of Leesburg. Fruitland Park starting to get into some of that heavier rain, basically following 441 up north. very intense rainfall over Wildwood, and a special weather statement is currently in effect for that area, and another special weather statement is currently in effect right now for portions of Marion County as well. And again, that one's more intense with some 55-mile-an-hour winds and some half-inch size hail out of that. Additional storms developing off towards the east in Pearson and De Leon Springs. And again, downtown Orlando, those storms are trying to get a little bit closer to you, but generally they're a little bit more moving north and west. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of a cell merger here over the Metro West area. So again, raining very heavily. Millennia, Edgewood, Pinecastle, Oak Ridge. No severe thunderstorm warnings, but certainly the opportunity for some heavier rain there, Ocoee on over towards Oakland, Montverde, and Claremont. Let me bring it back out. I'm going to reset the radar real quickly here. Kevin says, what about Fort Pierce? Sure, we'll look at Fort Pierce real quick. Bring it right back on. There we go. Okay, lightning data back on. Fantastic. Back in. All right, so let's take a look here. Fort Pierce. Looking good so far. There you go. So to answer your question, no, it's not bad at all. So to answer your question, the East Coast sea breeze, and you can actually, you see this line right here? That's the East Coast sea breeze that's marching inland. So generally speaking, as it's pushing inland, the storms are going to fire along it and then off towards the west, okay? So that's why the actual East Coast right now is a little bit quieter, and we can see some of the outflow boundaries as well. So the East Coast sea breeze itself is well inland right now. It's hitting these outflow boundaries from the previous storms the last couple of days, and that's helping to fire this up. And by the way, again, I mentioned it earlier, there's very little upper level winds right now. So that's why these storms have very little movement to them. They're basically developing and expanding, but as far as any real forward motion, there's not much to that right now. Maybe a little bit to the north and to the west, but generally speaking, these storms are just kind of getting a little bit better organized right now, and then they're going to be developing, again, a little bit stronger in nature, a little bit more intense. So let's get back to where those storms are intense for you right now. And again, we have this very large special weather statement. It goes for the next 15 minutes. Let's take a look at this one right here. So what the radar is picking up on is embedded within this. We do have some stronger cores. So here's a decent core right now over that Windermere area. The core might be moving north and east, but it's probably just picking up on the fact that this is an intense part of the cell. Hail probability is 100%, and maybe some inch-sized hail. More than likely, it's probably about half or three-quarters that. So the opportunity, at least, near portions of Windermere, that might be picking up some half-inch sized hail. But again, the storm intensity is coming up a bit. You can just see that from the Melbourne radar, we're getting a lot more reds and even some fuchsias there. And again, within that area, the opportunity for small hail, but extremely heavy rain and a lot of lightning. These are juiced up, electrified storms right now. There's a bit of instability in the atmosphere to really pop off the lightning right now. So that's really the main concerns. You can see this cell is going to try and drift a little bit to the north, and that's what I would expect to see, is an expansion of this to the north. So again, with that, we might see places like Ocoee, first of all, already having the rain, but a little bit stronger part of that cell moving up to the north. And we just got a new update, so we can click on that again, I believe. There we go. So you can see there the Ocoee area with a little bit more intense cell coming back through you. And if this can hold together, it's going to ride right up the 429 towards the Apopka area in the next 35 to 40 minutes. But generally speaking, I'm not going to be doing a lot of tracking for today. At least right now, these cells are basically just expanding. They're hitting old outflow boundaries. They're firing additional storms, and they're almost merging as well. We have a couple of mergers of some cells as well at the hour, so something to monitor there as well. Go back over to storm cell tracking mode here. Again, a lot of things I can do with our system. As a matter of fact, because of that, let me do this real quick. Let's go back out to the broader view, and let's bring on, what do you say here? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll leave that off for right now. That's fine. Let's do this. Over here, I've got a couple of presets through my Mediamundo channel that we can look at. So if you guys look, This is going to be the enhanced satellite imagery over the last 6 hours. And we can just really see those cells begin to kind of fire up in this as well. And again, they were more intense over the I-95 corridor early in the afternoon as the sea breeze marched inland, but now it's marched inland, it's beginning to merge again with some old outflow boundaries in our central and our western zones, especially near the Metro Orlando area, and that's where I think we're going to have the most intense activity here. And you can see those storms continuing to ramp up. Let's take a look at the visible satellite imagery. So I can bring that on real quick for you. Might take a second to loop up, or I might have turned it off on accident. Let's see here. Yeah, I did. Okay, there we go. It'll take a second to catch up the loop here. I always love to look at this stuff as well with you guys. And again, this is our high resolution visible satellite imagery. So you can just see even a little bit of energy coming up from the south, and then we've just fired up a lot of lightning here as well. So that's kind of a look at the satellite data. Again, that's going to be your infrared imagery. Water vapor imagery shows you again relatively kind of drier air around us, but so we've picked up more localized storms for today. But those are the ones this time of the year that can be really, really intense. Lightning can be a big story with those. Okay, back over to the radar. Yeah, not a bad cabin, not especially for your area. But again, these storms, the biggest situation with these is going to be that they're sitting over one area for a pretty good length of time right now. So again, special weather statement continues for the next 11 minutes, and this is going to be impacting portions of Orange and Lake County. So if you know anyone in this area, first of all, if you don't think that they have a good read on the weather today, give them a heads up, let them know about the channel. I appreciate you guys sharing this channel with everyone as well. And this one has been, is going to expire in the next 11 minutes, and we'll see if they reissue it. But really, the intensity of this cell has not come down any right now, and we still have that core over the Windermere area with, again, the possibility for some 3/4 inch size hail there. 1 to 3 inches of rain is also possible to go along with this, guys. And again, small hail, heavy rain, a lot of lightning. Get indoors. Happy Father's Day weekend to all the fathers out there. Notice that the Weather Service has now basically, it's like Jenga, they've put these together now. So all of this line is under a special weather statement. We're just below severe thunderstorm criteria. Severe thunderstorm criteria is 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-sized hail. And you can clearly see here, and again, I don't have to mention it all the time. You guys can just take a look and see what the threats are from these special weather statements. The larger box is 40-mile-an-hour winds and some half-inch sized hail. They don't have a specific hail size in the center box, but then the one over the Wildwood in the Villages area, 50-mile-an-hour winds and some 1/4 inch sized hail there. Hope everyone who was playing some golf in the Villages is back indoors. Still a pretty rowdy storm through the southwest sides of Ocala, just east of Silver Springs. 75 is going to be a slow go through Marion County right now. Again, special weather statement for the next 9 minutes, 55-mile-an-hour winds and some half-inch sized hail. Scattered rain developing north of there, a little bit heavier rain across US 19, places like Otter Creek and Chiefland as you get through Levy County. Still quiet through most of Citrus and Hernando and Pasco counties and portions of Hillsborough and Pinellas and Manatee counties. A few storms there, but nothing really cranked up. East Coast, again, is relatively dry. Indian River County, Brevard County, storms earlier in the day, but they pushed inland. The rain that was over eastern Orange County has tampered down a bit as well. So we've started to see this get a little bit closer to MCO. Not a lot of lightning on the far eastern sides towards Belle Isle and Pine Castle and Edgewood, but some rain there, and that's the cutoff of your special weather statement. So MCO not included in that as well. Good to see you guys here, Central Florida Weather Live, 5:06 on this Saturday, late afternoon. Rusty McCranie with you here. I appreciate you tuning in. If you're doing so, one big thing you can do me a big favor, click the like button on this live stream right now. It actually helps out the channel because the interaction and you typing something in the comments as well, it bumps us up in the YouTube algorithm. And the biggest thing is when you're starting a channel like this, just letting people know that you exist. So I appreciate that. Obviously, subscribing to the channel is a big factor as well. Again, for this live only channel, I always suggest to have the notifications on all of them, because then you'll get a notification on your phone 1 a.m. live. By the way, how about that? My wife would say that's too many Rusties in one shot, but there's definitely at least one more Rusty than what we should have in one camera shot. But you get those notifications on, and you're not going to be inundated because you're only getting a notification when I go live, and I'm only going live when there's something to talk about. So you're not going to get spammed, if you will, by the channel by having all the notifications on. It just lets you know when you want to tune in. And again, you tune in, storms that are important to you. I appreciate you sticking with me. Things are quiet in your area, you can get on with your day, and that's how we're going to be doing it here at Central Florida Weather Live. And again, these storms right now, they continue to really impact the same areas. There's a little bit of a development near the Winter Park area right now in Maitland and Fern Park on over towards Eatonville. That's just a little shower, but again, just a bit of expansion in this. I would expect, all right, in a general sense, that the strongest storms the remainder of this late afternoon and early evening will develop along and near I-4 and then push their way off towards the west. I'm not saying that we can't, east of I-4, get a few more storms to develop, but generally speaking, we're talking about pushing these storms a little bit further towards our central and western areas rather than the east coast. It's still a pretty good storm over Deltona. You can see that, a few lightning strikes associated with that one. And again, right now there's no severe thunderstorm warnings, but being a holiday weekend, I didn't want to just not come on. I thought it was important to come on and talk to you guys and give you a heads up as to what I expected. Now, Father's Day itself should be quieter. We should all enjoy a little bit quieter day, although it's going to be steaming hot outside. But as far as getting this activity tomorrow afternoon, we'll get a few, but I don't think it's going to be as widespread. So we'll reset it here at 5:08. Great to see you at Central Florida Weather Live. This is our broad look at the storms right now. And again, because we have several special weather statements, we're just below severe thunderstorm criteria, but obviously these storms are impacting a lot of you wanting to be outdoors and enjoy the holiday weekend. Probably had to run in a little bit earlier than what you wanted to. There are some spots, obviously, the immediate coastlines are a little bit quieter right now, but the Metro Orlando area, it's pretty rowdy. And there's additional storms right now developing off towards the south. So we've talked about the attractions, and I've mentioned this many times. Know that's an area where there's a lot of people outdoors. It's a guarantee each and every day. So we got to watch that. Here's a shower towards Campbell and Lofton, towards Intercession City and the Four Corners area, just trying to develop there. Our special weather statement goes as far south as Hunters Creek. There's a little bit of rain towards Meadow Woods right now, and we're just starting to creep in towards Lake Buena Vista, Disney, Disney Springs, and even up towards the SeaWorld area. We're right on the edge of that, but it's interesting because that is really intense storm just to the north of Lake Buena Vista. I mean, I'm talking about like a mile away. As a matter of fact here, let's do that. Bring on our spatial tools. Let's see how far away we are here. So let's see. This looks to be, if I'm not mistaken, where we are for Walt Disney World. So we're about, is it really 8 miles? No, there's no way. But it started at 8 miles. Why is it doing that? All right, let's try that again. Oh boy. Now that one got me. I'll say I've never seen that before from this thing. Why is it starting at 8 miles? I have no idea. That's hilarious. Okay. I will have to get with the people behind this radar system and tell them that. That's really interesting, though. So I click on a line, and it starts at 8 miles. There's an M&M reference in there somewhere, right? Quirks. The bottom line is when I went from 8.3 to 8.6, it's like 3/10 of a mile. So that's really what we're seeing. And you can see those storms right over Lake Buena Vista. And again, really heavy over the Windermere area right now. It's interesting. But again, that same core continues to be a situation. And notice now it's basically saying 3 miles an hour. This is really not moving. It's expanding. But the south sides of Windermere, that's a pretty rough cell. Let's take a look at the velocity out of that. Pretty good brights there. So again, I'm not really expecting any rotation out of any of these storms for today, but when we see brighter brighter greens and brighter reds, that is indicative of stronger winds in this area. So this is just really, really intense rain and potentially some smaller sized hail right over the Windermere area. Again, we'll check out these winds for you real quick as well. Yeah, nothing too crazy, 25, maybe 30 in gusts. And again, what's going to be happening is as these storms get into your area, they're going to be producing a good amount of rain as we get the outflows to come in. But then once the rain really settles in, I would expect the wind conditions to come down. But again, the lightning is going to be another big situation out of this as well. Going to be a fair amount of lightning that continues to be a part of the story for us here. So have to monitor that situation with the lightning as well. So pretty intense. Oak Ridge, Metro West. Let's see here, get rid of that. On over towards Windermere. Again, right now, the special weather statement goes for the next 2 minutes. So we'll see if they reissue that. The special weather statement for the northwest sides of Lake County here goes for the next 32 minutes. It's a pretty good sell over the Leesburg area right now. Special weather statement over Wildwood for the next 2 minutes. We have a new one that was issued for the Ocala area for the next half hour as well. So about 30 more minutes here in the Ocala area. Pretty nasty storm there as well. All right, let's go out to the broad perspective here. I'm going to, again, reset the radar. It's just the easiest way to do it. Bring it back on. Here we go. Okay. So let's see what we got here. They have issued a new special weather statement. So here you go. So the Weather Service is basically real-time analyzing this just like I am. They saw these storms develop towards Campbell and Four Corners in the Loftman area, and they've now dropped the new special weather statement to include those areas as well. And again, those are relatively intense storms. So now the attractions is going to be kind of closed in. This is going to impact all the attractions area for us here because those storms are going to more than likely drift north and merge with this cell on the south side of Windermere. So it's going to be pretty rough. World Drive, 535 area, a lot of lightning, really slow go with the drive back through Hamlin and the 429, and Winter Garden in general right now, downtown, Story there, Oakland. I mean, you know, again, Winter Garden's a lovely, lovely town to be enjoying a beautiful city, to be enjoying a beautiful Saturday afternoon downtown, but the rain is really closed in there. So you saw that we just lost our one special weather statement, and now the new one, it's a little bit farther off towards the south. We've lost a bit in the middle here, and the weather is getting a bit better for portions of Lake County, Claremont, Montverde, Astatoula, Yahala still under this special weather statement that goes for the next 30 minutes. Winds are 40 miles an hour there. The rain has come down a little bit over the Wildwood area, still some good lightning strikes there, and then back up through portions of Marion County. Again, another new special weather statement, 30 minutes now, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and some half-inch sized hail. But there's some really rowdy weather here, right there across 27. You can see those bright pinks and those flashing blues. That's indicative, of, again, of some smaller hail and some extremely heavy rain. But watch out for the lightning. Lightning super, super intense with some of these storms. All right, friends, good to see you again here at Central Florida Weather Live. Rusty McCranie with you, 5:15. We are live on this Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for liking this live stream. And if you haven't become a subscriber yet here to Central Florida Weather Live, I appreciate that. So here's the overall setup here at 5:15. We do have a few new special weather statements to talk about. First of all, we have our East Coast sea breeze that has moved inland, okay? And that has bumped into old outflow boundaries from previous storms the last few days. There's a little bit of energy out to the west as well, but this has flared up the thunderstorms that we're talking about right now. They are not severe, but some of them are very close to severe criteria. They're not moving very much as well right now. The storms that have gotten going have been basically sitting over the same areas, producing some very heavy rainfall, 1 to 3 inches of rain, so some flash flooding of low-lying areas is possible. Watch out for ponding on the roadways. There's also the opportunity for some smaller hail, generally less than a half inch in size, Generally speaking, that's not going to be damaging hail, but again, you don't want to get caught out in it if you can avoid it. And the very light upper level winds that we have are conducive to having the extremely, extremely slow movement of these storms. So again, if you're getting it, you're going to continue to get it for a while here, and that's why the flood potential will persist. A couple of other areas will develop storms. In general, they're going to try and drift off towards the west as we go through the remainder of this late Saturday afternoon. The cell over Deltona is still relatively strong. And again, we're still pinging on the opportunity for some hail, but generally speaking, that's going to be some very heavy rain over the Orange City, Deltona, DeBerry area. Little cell has developed just east of the Lake Helen area. That one should move over Lake Helen here in just the next few minutes. And again, a lot of dark skies. Sure, a lot of folks are running in a little bit earlier than they wanted to on this Father's Day weekend Saturday. Happy Father's Day to all those out there as well. And again, some storms up towards Crescent City and Pomona Park, southeast sides of Alachua County, Hawthorne, but you get into Marion County, and this one's a pretty good storm for us here. So let's take a look at what we got here with this particular cell. So it's trying to drift this one south and west, okay? So we'll see how that plays out, but the radar algorithm picks up on the development west of these areas. Now, that being said, you notice it is going to be moving into more rural areas. It doesn't mean that there's nothing out there. I've got our high resolution street level mapping on as well. By the way, that's another thing I can show you here at Central Florida Weather Live is, if you notice, we have our very high resolution detailed street data for all of Central Florida. So in a tornado situation or something like that, if we need to really get down into street level, we can absolutely do that. And again, we can do that for all of Central Florida. You got a specific question about the forecast with what's going on right now, please drop it in the comment section below. If nothing else, say hi to me as well. Again, I can respond on the phone. If you were just tuning in, I broke my tablet. Can you tell I'm very upset about this? Because I bought it specifically for the YouTube channel here. So I have this stand just off camera, and there used to be this, well, it's just sitting here to the side, this lovely tablet I just bought, and I tripped over a cord a couple days ago, and the stand fell, and lo and behold, it hit the only hard object on the ground nearby, a corner of a box. And I didn't think twice about it, and I turned it on 2 days ago, and the screen was cracked. I'm still sad about it, I gotta be honest. But I've got my phone, and hopefully another tablet soon. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? Sarah says, just drove 535 from Disney to 429. Very scary, very heavy rain, lots of lightning, made it home so I could put on Central Florida Weather Live. Thanks for being there, Rusty. Sarah, that's an extremely kind comment, and I appreciate you so much. And thank you for the information. That's what I love to hear from you guys. Again, one reason why I started this channel is so we could interact in real time, just like Sarah did, okay? Sarah gets me the information, verifies what we've been talking about, lets everyone else know what's really going on out there, and I appreciate that. And again, you have a question about the forecast, we can do that as well. But I love to hear from you guys, and several of you have commented in the previous live streams, and again, that helps out the Central Florida Weather Live community here with these storms. But as Sarah was mentioning, the bottom line with these storms is where they are going right now, they are quite intense, and that really is the nature of the forecast for today. It's not going to be everywhere, but where these storms have developed, they are rowdy in nature. They don't have to be severe to cause problems. You get that kind of blinding rain, it's going to be a really tough drive. The lightning is going to be a factor as well. Power outages are a possibility. A lot of lightning strikes. And again, over the last 15 minutes in this area, we've had, 40-ish lightning strikes, but I've filtered out some of the lightning strikes, okay? Just because, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So let me bring on, first of all, I turned off the lightning. Let me bring on the lightning data here. So if you can see, I've got minimum flash filter. So we got 43 lightning strikes. If I crank this down to 0, we actually have 219 lightning strikes in just the last 15 minutes, okay? And the only reason why I do that is for aesthetics, and it lets me actually interrogate the radar, if you will, a little bit better. Because if I were to zoom into Windermere here, all we would see is lightning strikes, and that's a little bit more difficult, but you get the idea. These storms have a lot of lightning with them, and they're not moving much. So it's not going to shock me if down the road here we get some kind of a flash flood situation, some kind of advisory. I'm going to go back over to I did jump on pretty quickly today, otherwise I might have set up my laptop, but I'm hoping to, first of all, I should probably start a GoFundMe for the new, yeah, we do. We have a flood advisory. Again, I'm not shocked. Flood advisories aren't going to automatically pop up here. They have to be flood warnings. It's the same situation here. So it's going to be for Orange County, and it's going to be until 7:15, and it's going to be for western sides of Orange County. Minor flooding, again, 2 to 3 inches of rain. We could expect another 1 or more. And again, it's the areas that I've talked about: Orlando, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Windermere, Bay Lake, Horizon West, Bay Hill, Lake Butler, Gotha. These areas right here, guys. Again, 1 to 3 inches have already fallen, an additional maybe 1 to 2. And it's just a flood advisory. It's not a flash flood warning of any kind. If we get a warning, those are automatically going to pop up on the weather computer here, and we can look at those. That's a small chance for today. But again, these storms are not moving real quickly here. That little cell's trying to sneak its way. It just shows you how slow they're moving, because the radar says this cell that's over South Winter Garden is going to take about 45 minutes to get to Oakland, and it's really not that far away. So that's a pretty nasty storm there. All right, get back over to you guys. There we go. Thanks again, Sarah. I'm going to take a quick drink of water, guys. Give me just 1 second here.